Hello everyone, my name is CM3s, and today I am doing a 2024 NFL mock draft. Now, I would like to start this off by saying that I don't have PFF. I don't pay for it, alright? I got the free version, so I can't make any trades. So this is without trades. You're going to see this subscribe to PFF thing here at the top. Oh well. Second, I would like to say that I think I have done a lot of research on this year's draft class. I love football. I've been watching football basically my entire life. I follow all the top guys, all the top scouts. I've been getting insider knowledge on what I believe every single team's going to do. I'm not saying this is perfect by any means. This is a mock draft. Besides, not to mention free agency hasn't even happened yet. I'm recording this on January 26th. The Super Bowl team hasn't even been announced yet, but we know most of the draft order. We know it all the way up until 28. We just don't know the last four picks, and honestly, I don't really think that's going to change much. It'll change a little bit, but it won't change. It's four picks, but trades haven't happened yet. Teams could trade up. Free agency hasn't happened, but this is just where I feel right now teams are going to draft. So let's start this thing off. I'm not going to talk anymore, anything like that. Bears, number one, it's going to be Caleb Williams. Like I said, this is a draft with no trades, and free agency hasn't happened yet. But if I had to guess for the Bears, I would say they're going to draft Caleb Williams. That's what just makes the most sense to me. Justin Fields, they turned down his fifth-year option, so this is the last year of his contract. You can get Caleb Williams, who will have 4 years, 5 if they want, to show what he has. And honestly, Justin Fields, in 3 years, he hasn't taken him to the playoffs. Obviously, the Bears team hasn't been that good, but Justin Fields also hasn't elevated that team. We have seen bad teams be elevated by great quarterbacks. I think about Justin Herbert. That's the main example, I think. Look at all the stats that he put up his rookie year. Justin Herbert's defense is absolute dog water, and he still was able to take him to the playoffs last year, where that defense choked. He did a little bit too, but we don't need to talk about that. Quarterback's most important position in the NFL today. Bears need a quarterback. They have Fields. They can do much better than Fields. Draft Caleb Williams, trade Fields for probably an early second round pick, if I had to guess. Get some more help from him there. Commanders are on the clock at 2. They are still as of right now, they're one of the 2 teams that don't have a quarterback or don't have a head coach. If I had to guess, though, I would say they're probably going for Ben Johnson. That's what all the rumors are saying. He's the offensive coordinator in Detroit. Say they do draft Ben Johnson, they're going to want a quarterback. He's an offensive mind. He helped Jared Goff. Sam Howell, maybe you could still develop Sam Howell, but where we are right now at the board at 2, no trades, you got to go with Drake May. He's the second best quarterback in the class. I like Williams just a little bit more. I know a lot of people say that Williams and May are close. I agree with that. Just Drake May is more of a pocket passer quarterback. He is much better within structure. He is much better within the pocket. A phenomenal arm. Can show great accuracy. He still needs to develop a little bit. People look at his stats and aren't really impressed with his stats. He's on UNC. Yes, he's got one good weapon in Tez Walker. Tez Walker. He was suspended to start the season. Do you know anyone else that Drake May is throwing to? I don't. Can you name anyone on that offensive line? I can't. Exactly. Drake May is putting up really good stats for the team that he has. He doesn't have the weapons that Caleb Williams has. He doesn't have the coaching that Caleb Williams has. And I believe that that's a good factor. Drake May has played with worse talent. Going to the Commanders, he already is having better talent. He's going to have Terry McLaurin. He's going to have a better offensive line. He's going to have Brian Robinson in the backfield. You develop Drake May, I think he can be really good for this Washington team. Sam Howell can be a backup for him. At 3, Patriots, they are going to go with Jaden Daniels. When Jared Mayo was drafted, or became the head coach for the Patriots, he came out and said, word for word, I watched the interview, he came out and said that he's going to draft the best player available at the most important position in football. Word for word. He basically came out and said he's drafting a quarterback. Could that be all smoke? Yes. This dude was on the team. They elevated him from the Patriot system. He watched Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi They're both ass. They suck. He has watched what Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi can do. I don't think Mac Jones, his rookie year, looked pretty good. He's lost all that confidence, all that moxie, all that confidence that Mac Jones has. It's gone. He's completely lost his confidence. And yeah, you have him for 2 more years, but it's like, Jaden Daniels, he's just someone new. Mayo can develop him how he wants to develop him. He is much more athletic than Mac Jones is. He has showcased elite accuracy. Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi suck. Patriots need a quarterback. They're going to go with Jalen Daniels, which the Arizona Cardinals are now thrilled with how this mock draft has come because they can draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Might be the best player in this draft class. Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the best wide receiver prospects we have seen in a very long time. The last prospect was obviously Jamar Chase, but Jamar Chase was also a freak prospect that came out, and he was drafted, I think, at 5 by the Bengals, if I remember that correctly. Marvin Harrison Jr. can just literally do anything you want a wide receiver can do. He's big, he's tall, he's physical. One of his most valued traits is how good he is with the ball in the air. Marvin Harrison Jr., throw it to a spot, he gets to that spot. I think of 2 years ago when Marvin Harrison Jr. and CJ Stroud were playing Georgia in the semifinals for the college football playoffs, and he got hurt in that game. Downhill. Ohio State was beating Georgia. Georgia went on to win the Natty. Georgia's only lost 2 games in their last 33 games. 31-2 in their last 33 games. They were beating that Georgia team. Then Marvin Harrison Jr. gets hurt. That offense starts to definitely collapse a little bit. Georgia come back and wins that game. Marvin Harrison Jr. is literally a game changer. Him on the field makes so much of a difference already. He's playing at that elite level, and he's in college. Put him on that Cardinals team, he's instantly their number 1 wide receiver. He instantly is going to take the best corner, and the best corner is going to have to go to Marvin Harrison Jr. He will give Kyler Murray so much help. And yes, you could also say, well, you could maybe take offensive line. I could see that. Cardinals defense sucks a lot. But when a player like Marvin Harrison Jr., who could be the best player in the draft, has fallen to you at 4, you take him at 4. Chargers at 5. This is tough. I've seen everybody give the Chargers a wide receiver. It's been a Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. Now Jim Harbaugh is the head coach. And what has Michigan prioritized? Michigan and Jim Harbaugh is a trenches team. You think about Harbaugh on that 49ers team. He loved to run the ball. He prioritized a strong offensive line. Justin Herbert needs protection, man. He was getting hit so much. He got hurt this year. Now, I understand you could take a wide receiver. I understand that Keenan Allen's on the last year of his contract. Mike Williams is in the last year of his contract. I think good wide receivers and weapons will want to come to the Chargers because of Harbaugh. What I think is much harder to find is an offensive lineman. And where I stand right now, they have Rashawn Slater on the left. You draft Joe Alt, you put him on the right. Justin Herbert now has 2 lockdown tackles for a very long time. I think Slater was drafted 2 years ago. She still got 3 more years with him. They're going to re-sign him to a contract anyways. Now you get Joe Alt for 5 years, put him on the right side. I know he's typically left tackle. He can move over to right. He's got that size. He's tall, quick, could be the best offensive tackle in this class. Him or either Fushanu. I think you put him on the right side to protect Herbert. You help the run game. You still have Keenan Allen for another year. Quentin Johnson, you hope you can develop. You still have Palmer. He can do well. I know they need weapons, but just putting someone on that right side to help Herbert, he needs protection. He gets sacked too much. He doesn't have enough time. You could go either way. You could have taken a wide receiver there. I just prefer Joe Alt. Now with Harbaugh there, I know how much he likes the running game. Giants at 6, they're going to go with Malik Neighbors. Another LSU wide receiver, just like Odell. That worked out pretty well for them. Giants need weapons. From what I've heard around the grapevine is that they're going to bring back Daniel Jones. They signed him to a contract where they have an out after this year. He was hurt for most of this year. I think they're going to give him 1 more year. They're going to Going to give him another weapon in Malik Neighbors. Hope that offensive line gets healthy and plays better. Malik Neighbors, just an absolute stud out of LSU. Put up phenomenal numbers with Jaden Daniels this year. He's just fast and quick, and he can get to the ball, and he just has such good route running. You watch his route running on film, and it's phenomenal. And just his presence as well to move and shift defenders. That's going to be great for Daniel Jones. Who else do the Giants have at wide receiver? I know they just drafted Wyatt last year. I guess Darius Slayton. They don't really have a number one wide receiver. Malik Neighbors can instantly come in and become that number one wide receiver. Titans at 7. They just picked up Brian Callahan to be their coach, an offensive-minded guy. Titans can do a lot here. I think they're literally in the same exact situation as the Chargers. They can go with an offensive weapon, or they can go with a tackle. And honestly, it's either Rome Odunze for me or Fole Ashanu. You could go either or with this pick, honestly. I'm going to go with O'Shanu here. Titans don't have a left tackle. They got rid of Taylor Lewan last year. They need a left tackle. Fole Ashanu can instantly come in and become a starting left tackle. They can try to develop Malik Willis. I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins only signed a 1-year deal or not, or if he's a free agent, but I still know that they do have Treylon Burks, who's decent. They definitely needed weapons, too. They definitely needed weapons. You could have gone either way, but I picked the starting left tackle. I think that, like I said, there's so many wide receivers in this league, and there's a lot less tackles. You take one of the best 2 offensive tackles in this class, instantly put him at left tackle, he's starting right away. I definitely see a case for weapons, too, but you want to help protect Malik Willis. Or not Malik Willis, that guy's trash. The guy that eats mayo lover. Can't think of his name right now. Will Levis. Protect Will Levis, starting left tackle. You still have at least Treylon Burks. Maybe Hopkins as well. Falcons at 8. As you can see, I'm a Falcons fan, and I am miserable. We just signed Raheem Morris. That's a whole separate video. We'll see how he plays out. My initial reaction, I hate it. But we'll see how it plays out. The only good thing from this, though, before we even drafted Raheem Morris at 8, I wanted the Falcons to draft Dallas Turner. Now, with us picking up a defensive-minded head coach, I believe that we could do Dallas Turner. Obviously, the Falcons need a quarterback. They desperately need a quarterback. No way in hell we're taking Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. at 8. Penix Jr. showed in the Natty why he's not worth the 8th overall pick. He plays for a Washington team which has the best offensive line in the draft class and has phenomenal weapons. That Michigan defense put pressure on him, and he overthrew balls. He looked uncomfortable. He hadn't been uncomfortable all year, and you put pressure on him, and he looked uncomfortable. He made throws. Then there's Bo Nix. He's old. Bo Nix has started in the most college games of all time. Not to mention that Bo Nix, again, in the Pac-12, didn't really face that many good defenses. Bo Nix also showcased arm talent, but you would like to see more out of it. He did a lot of short passes to Troy Franklin here. I don't want quarterback to Troy Franklin, who might be the fastest wide receiver of this entire draft class. And when you're throwing it to wide open guys all day, you're going to look good. At pick 8, Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. aren't an option. Do I think that they're a second-round pick? I definitely think they're second-round guys. Maybe a team trades up in the late first to get one of those two. But here at 8, well, where the board's gone 1 through 7 for offense, take the best defender in the class, Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner is young. I believe he's 21. Bro, why can't I find his age? Oh, born January 2. Oh my God, I'm older than this guy. Yeah, so he's 21. So you get a young defender who has been a beast. Puts up good sack numbers. You watch him. Sorry, I'm all over the place. You watch Dallas Turner when he played against Georgia, and then even when he played against Michigan, he gets off the ball so quick. He just has such a powerful, versatile set of moves where he can just use his hands and instantly create pressure and separation and get off the edge so fast. He's also surprisingly really well in the run game. You don't want to pitch it to Dallas Turner's side because he can just instantly block the tackle, or shed the block, and instantly get to the running back. He's young, like I said, he's 21. Dude's 21 years old. You can develop him as an edge rusher, and he's already got such tools at such a young age. You look at some of the better edges in this class. You look at Jared Verse, Leatu Latu. These guys are both 23. Now, I know that doesn't mean too much, 21 and 23, but that's 5 extra years. At the end of Dallas Turner's rookie contract, he'll be 26, where Verse and Leatu Latu will be 28. That matters a lot more when you want to sign him to a second deal. Sign him to another 5-year contract. He's still in his prime for that entire contract. You sign Verse or Leatu Latu to a 5-year contract. Towards the end of it, they might start to decline a little bit, and now you've signed these big guys to money, like Von Miller, and they're doing fuck all with it. That's why I like Turner. I think that he has the most upside, and he might even be the best defender in this class for Atlanta. I really want us to draft Dallas Turner. Bears at 9, they went Caleb Williams at 1. We're going to give him a weapon in Rome Odunze here. They already have DJ Moore. Give Caleb Williams a second weapon. Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze was one of the best wide receivers in the class. He was phenomenal at Washington this year. Such a great separator. He is able to just get open in the field. And I just really like Caleb Williams having DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. You're just creating a high-powered offense there in Chicago. And yeah, it might take some time for develop that offense. Give it a year or two. You've just drafted 2 rookies, rookie quarterback, rookie wide receiver. Pair that with DJ Moore, though. I think you could have a really good offense down the line here. Jets at 10. This is where things get really interesting here for the Jets, because they have a great defense. And if you're the Jets, you would have hoped that one of these top 3 wide receivers didn't fall, but they did. What did the Jets do now? I think they have to go with offensive line here. And for the Jets, you could go with any of these offensive linemen. Any of them are great, but I'm going to go with J.C. Latham out of Bama. Now, J.C. Latham is a starting right tackle. Jets need tackle in both directions. They still have Mekhi Becton. He just can't stay healthy, man. He just can't stay healthy. Aaron Rodgers needs protection. Look at how bad that offensive line was. He got pressured on all 4 of his plays that he played this year. Rodgers is going to need help. J.C. Latham starting right tackle. I'm sure you can move him over to left. Rodgers needs help. Rodgers needs protection. Now we got the Minnesota Vikings here at 11. I've been seeing a lot of people give the Vikings defense, which I agree with. Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins is probably coming back, if I had to guess. I don't think he wants to leave. They have, obviously, Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. That offense is great. That defense sucks. I've been seeing a lot of edges go to the Minnesota Vikings, but they need help everywhere. Everywhere the Minnesota Vikings need help. And personally, I think I'm going to give him Aaron Arnold out of Alabama. He's been flying off of draft boards. Oh, I just went 3 Bama players here. He's been flying up draft boards, Aaron Arnold has. The Minnesota Vikings, I know that they just signed Byron Murphy. He's decent, but they really need a ball hawk. Vikings are a team that doesn't really get that many turnovers, don't really get that many interceptions. Aaron Arnold is a ball hawk at Alabama. He is quick. He's fast. He is able to just jump around and get to the ball. He has flown off draft boards with his incredible play this year with a team that also featured Kool-Aid McKinstry. Everyone knew Kool-Aid McKinstry coming in, so they didn't target him. They targeted Arnold, and he stepped up. He showed that he really can be a number 1 corner, and I believe that teams are going to love his traits, love his size, love his physicality. And the Vikings, I could have gone edge rusher with the Vikings too. They have some good edge rushers. We'll see what they do. I just personally liked Arnold more for the Vikings, but again, they could have also gone an edge rusher. And here we are with the Denver Broncos. Now, so many teams need quarterback. Like I said, Vikings maybe could. Broncos definitely need quarterback. Saints, look at all these teams that need a quarterback, okay? I don't like any of these guys. I don't think any of these guys will be first round talent. Look at 2 years ago when Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback taken in the first round. There were some very quarterback needy teams, but I just don't think Bo Nix is a first round caliber guy. Michael Penix Jr., I don't think so either. I think teams are going to see how he played against in the Natty. Like, looking at these stats, these are phenomenal stats from Bo Nix. Like, this is absolutely incredible. I think if someone did go in the first round, it would be Bo Nix. I don't think Sean Payton's going to take Bo Nix at 12. He could. He very well could. But I personally think that the Denver Broncos are probably going to go defense here. They are missing Bradley Chubb. They haven't really had a good... They've had an average defense, but I think that they're going to go with Jared Verse here. At least that's what I'm going to give him. Jared Verse is a freak on the edge. One of the top 3 edge rushers in the class. It's Laiatu Latu, Jared Verse, and Dallas Turner. Jared Verse a little bit older, but the Broncos, they need that Bradley Chubb replacement. I think he's someone that can play. If they do a 3-4 defense, you can put him on the edge. I think you can also put him on the defensive line. You can move around Jared Verse. Phenomenal at Florida State. Back-to-back seasons with multiple sacks. If the Broncos get a better defense, their defense allowed 70 points this year. Got very little pressure. They were missing Bradley Chubb. They need just more edge help. Like I said, quarterback is also a big issue. Wide receiver too, but with the top 3 wide receivers off the board, the top 3 quarterbacks off the board, with only 2 defenders taken, I think they take their guy, Jared Verse. Raiders at 13, they just signed Antonio Pierce to be their head coach. He's a defensive-minded guy. The Raiders, I think they're going to stick with AOC. They're going to give him another year. They have a couple of weapons on offense. They have the obviously Devontae Adams. Jacoby Myers actually played really well. Michael Myers. So the Raiders definitely need to go defense. Their run game sucked, and I think that Newton out of Illinois is such a Raiders player. Big, strong, physical D tackle. Really likes to eat up runs, and he's more of a run blocking or block shedding defensive tackle. And that's what the Raiders need help with. Their run game, not that good, especially when you're going up against the Chargers now, who are trying to bolster their run game, and the Chiefs with Isaiah Pacheco twice a year. You need guys that can eat blocks, and you need guys that can help block shed on running plays. And the Raiders are just a big, gritty team. You think of the Raiders, you think of physical guys with attitude, and that is what I think Newton can bring to the D-line for the Raiders. Saints at 14. I've seen a lot of people give the Saints Bo Nix here. I think it makes sense. I do. When I look at the Saints, how many years have the Saints needed to rebuild and they haven't? They don't. I've seen it. There are so many years the Saints need to rebuild and they just don't. They just keep pushing back their salary cap, living in cap hell. And I don't think the Saints are going to change. They didn't fire Dennis Allen. Yes, they fired their offensive coordinator. They're like, oh, our offense needs a little bit of tweaking. But the Saints don't change. The Saints don't change. And I think with Laiatu Latu here, they're going to draft him, trying to go best player available. Cam Jordan is getting older. Put Laiatu Latu behind Cam Jordan to try to help him develop. The Saints have been trying to draft edge rusher for so long. Davenport didn't work out. Zach Bond last year, 2 years ago, didn't work out. They drafted Brian Brzee. He's a D tackle. I think they're going to go with Laiatu Latu, try to just completely revamp that defensive line. That's the foundation of the Saints' D-line. They keep on trying to draft D-line. It doesn't really hit. I think a guy like Laiatu Latu, best player available, falls to them. With Laiatu Latu, he did retire. He medically retired, but he came back. For a team like the Saints, I don't think that matters to him. They're trying to win now. They think he's the best player available. They're going to continue that win now mindset, and Laiatu Latu, I think, is the player with how the board has fallen that gives the Saints the best option to win now. And leaves the Colts here at 15. I've seen a lot of people go Brock Bowers. And I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't see it. Like, the Colts have some good tight ends. Honestly, I think the Colts are a perfect team to draft Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is a corner that can play literally anything. He can play slot corner. He can play safety. He can play outside boundary corner. Cooper DeJean is one of the best players in the class, and let's just say it how it is. He's a white corner. That's funny to talk about. It definitely will hinder him a little bit because you're not seen as that physical. There is no white corners in the NFL right now, or maybe there's one. A couple white safeties, but not too many. It's just a physical position. But if a team were to draft him, it would be the Colts. And if you know anything about football, you kind of know what that means. He just seems like a Colts player. Plus Iowa kind of close to Indianapolis, Indiana there. Might even be the closest team. But the Colts, I don't think they're going Brock Bowers. They have Michael Penix Jr. They have Anthony Pierce, or Pierce, whatever his name is, a wide receiver. They drafted a couple of young rookie tight ends, Jelani Woods, who got hurt. So I think they're going to go with Cooper DeJean here at corner to try to boost up that defense. Seahawks at 16, they need offensive line help, and I think they're going to go with Fulagu out of Oregon State. I've seen many people put this fit here, and I also agree with it. I think Fulagu is a great guy who can either play tackle or he can play guard, and he can go anywhere that the Seattle Seahawks need to. I think that they'll move him into guard, and he will really help boost their offensive line for Geno Smith and Drew Lock. And the interior of the Seahawks offensive line was absolutely atrocious. And you definitely need to address that if you want to make a playoff push. Jaguars at 17. What do you even do if you're the Jaguars? What do you even do? Trevor Lawrence doesn't look good. He looks okay, but Trevor Lawrence, man, what a brutal end to the year. Jaguars had a 99% chance of making the playoffs, and they were the 1 seed, and then they collapsed. No one really talked about that. I heard everything about the Eagles collapse, but because the Jaguars are a small market team, no one really talked about that collapse, and that was brutal. And the main person you can really look at is Trevor Lawrence. Now, they're not really going to get rid of him, but they have a ton of weapons. Now, is Calvin Ridley going to stay or go? They'll probably go, because if they sign Calvin Ridley to a contract and they have to give up a second-round pick instead of just a third in the trade for Calvin Ridley that Atlanta did. Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen are... Trayvon Walker, who knows? Josh Allen, phenomenal guy. Who knows if he's going to want to stay in Jacksonville? It's not like they've really done anything. He could walk. So there's so many questions, and with so many questions, I think what I'm just going to do here for the Jaguars is I'm going to give him Nate Wiggins, corner. So the Jaguars just picked up Ryan Nielsen from the Atlanta Falcons, and his number 1 corner was A.J. Terrell, a Clemson guy. Nate Wiggins shows similar traits to A.J. Terrell. He's tall, he's fast, he can stick to you like glue. He's a really good corner. He's been falling in recent mock drafts, but I just think that is like bias of being one of the top corners for so long that other guys rise up. Jacksonville, they need DBs. Their DBs weren't that good this year. Guys got wide open in space. Ryan Nielsen, he has good edge rushers if they can re-sign Josh Allen. I think he's going to want DB help, and Nate Wiggins is the answer. And I think if you're the Bengals, you're in hog heaven right now because Brock Bowers has fallen to you. I don't really know where you could say Brock Bowers can go. Like, maybe you could put him at 5 and give Brock Bowers to Chargers. I think that's his ceiling is 5. I don't think the Giants would take him. I don't think the Titans would. The Falcons wouldn't. Bears wouldn't. Maybe the Jets. I think Jets are a possibility. Maybe the Broncos. But Saints wouldn't. For some reason, a lot of people say Colts. I don't see it. I don't see Seahawks. I don't see Jags. I think Brock Bowers to 18 makes the most sense. You look at someone like Kyle Pitts, that if the Falcons took it 4, he has not lived up to the number 4 overall hype. And I think that could really hurt Brock Bowers' case. He might even look better than Kyle Pitts overall as a prospect because he can block as well. He is big, he's strong, he's physical at the line. He can help block as a tight end as well. He's kind of like, I'm not saying he's Rob Gronkowski at all, but that's who I would compare him to because he can block and catch. You look at a tight end like Travis Kelce. He doesn't block. He's more a wide receiver. You look at a tight end like Pitts. He doesn't block. He's a wide receiver. Rob Gronkowski did both. He blocked and catched, and that's what Brock Bowers can do. He can create separation and get wide open. It's incredible. You watch these Georgia games, it is insane how wide open he can get for how big he is. And if you're the Bengals, you are now just thrilled that one of the best players in the draft class has fallen to at 18 because he's a tight end. Like I said, maybe the Chargers could take him, the Jets could take him, Broncos could take him, I guess the Colts. So that's 4 teams that he could probably realistically go to. If I had to guess, I would say the Chargers are probably the most likely team to draft him. I don't think the Jets would. Maybe the Broncos, maybe the Colts, but in my mock draft, he's fallen to the Bengals at 18. Joe Burrow gets a phenomenal weapon. Rams here at 18. At 19, my bad. Rams are an interesting team. They could do a lot. The Rams need help defensively. They still have Cooper Kupp. They still have Puka Kanua or whatever. Williams at running back. On the offense, the Rams are kind of set. They still got Stafford there. Defense is where I would look if I'm the Rams. And defensively, looking at this board, it's an offensive draft class for sure. But they traded away Jalen Ramsey. I think you got to go corner for the Rams. You watch some of the games like against the 49ers, against the Detroit Lions, they had wide receivers getting wide open. The Rams could not cover Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have a good D-line, but that secondary just needs rebuilding. They need secondary help. The defensive line's okay. They got some okay safeties. I'm just going to give them the best corner on the board and Kool-Aid McKinstry. You could have also, when you look at corners here, another really good corner is Keon Mitchell's out of Toledo. Phenomenal corner. He might even be one of the best. He is probably one of the best corners in the class. People see Toledo, so I think that's why he's ranked a little bit lower. But he's phenomenal. He'll be a first-round pick. He will be going later. He's probably the next corner off the board for when I take corner. At 20, Steelers. This could be a lot of things for the Steelers. Steelers could go a lot of ways here. Is Kenny Pickett the guy there? Are they really going to take another quarterback at 20? I don't think so. Steelers could do a lot of things here. And you know what? I'm going to go with the corner out of Toledo, Mitchell. Just a great player. Great overall player. The Steelers, I probably should have done a little bit more research on them. Honestly, I have no clue what to do with the Steelers pick. So I'm looking at their needs here. I'm trying to think of I know there's so many off wide receivers that can go, but they have Deontay Johnson, they have George Pickens, they have Pat Freiermuth. Their offensive line is decent. They got good running backs. Do I really want to give them Bo Nix? Bo Nix versus Kenny Pickett, does that really sound like a quarterback challenge you want to have or a quarterback room you want to have? No. Dolphins at 21 here. You could go wide receiver. You could go offensive line here. Dolphins are such an interesting team. And you know what? I'm just going to say screw it and go Brian Thomas Jr. here. You obviously have Tyreek Hill and you have Jalen Waddle. Imagine another speedy guy on that team. That's all the Dolphins are about is speed, separation, motions. This year, there were games where Waddle was hurt and Tyreek Hill was hurt, and it hurt them towards the end. No pun intended. Look at towards the end of the season when they slowed down. Waddle was banged up. Hill was banged up. When you lose your speedy wide receivers, that offense kind of crumbles. Two is also an issue too, but that's a topic for a different video. You add another third wide receiver there in Brian Thomas Jr. Just imagine that team. If one guy goes down, you still got two more guys. You need depth. They don't have depth behind those top two guys. Give another weapon for Tua. Give another weapon for Mike McDaniels. Eagles at 22. Good God. What a disaster of a team. What a disaster of the team. They're probably upset that these top corners are off the board. They really, really need corner help. And I'm just going to give Kamier, this guy out of Georgia. I'm ass with names. I know exactly who he is. I suck with names, okay? Eagles could do a lot of things, but their DBs are atrocious. James Bradbury, good God. What a disgusting performance. What a disgusting performance against the Buccaneers. Might be one of the worst DB performances I have ever seen in a game. They need cornerback help bad. The Eagles love drafting Georgia defense. It's been their MO for the last 2 years. I think they do it again with another great corner out of Georgia. They just need help bad. They have Darius Slayton. That's about it. They need help on that defensive end. Now, Texans here at 23. I think they go with Troy Franklin. He might be the fastest wide receiver in this draft class, or at least in the first round guys. You have Nico Collins, who was just developed into such a good number 1 wide receiver. They need speed. Yeah, they have John Mechie. Troy Franklin is faster, frankly. You need a guy that can go downfield. You look at that arm that CJ Stroud has, the accuracy that CJ Stroud has. Nico Collins was getting open down the field so often as a number 1. Imagine putting Nico Collins more in the middle as that number 1 or on the edge, and then have a speed guy take away other threats. Or Nico Collins is taking away the safety because he's a deep threat. You add another fast deep threat that's 1-on-1. He can win with Troy Franklin. You give CJ Stroud more weapons and not make that offense. It opens up the offense more, is what I'm saying. And that defense already looked so good under D'Amico Ryans this year that I just think having Troy Franklin as another option for CJ Stroud is just phenomenal. Dallas here at 24. Oh, Jesus. What do you do if you're Dallas again here? Like, what do you do if you're Dallas? I think I'm going to go with, there's multiple options here. Do they really need interior defensive line? It's saying that Dallas does, but they have Mozzie Smith out of Georgia. Or not of Georgia, out of Michigan? Is that where Mozzie Smith went to? Michigan? Sounds right, but it also sounds wrong. And they also had that other defensive interior end that played great for them this year. But you can't get... Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying right now. I'm going to go with Brian Murphy II. Dallas's defense just couldn't get any pressure in that game against the Packers. And Micah Parsons can't do it all. Yes, they still have DeMarcus Lawrence, they have other guys, but they're getting up there in age, and it sometimes felt like Micah Parsons was doing it all. That defensive line gets even more help. You bring in a guy from Texas. You could do a lot more there, but just for how the board's fallen, I like this pick the most. You could go with an offensive tackle, but I'm going to bring in the home guy from Texas. All the corners were gone. You could add another corner there, another safety, but the safeties aren't really first-round talents. I just think with how the board's fallen, Brian Murphy makes the most sense. Packers at 25. This is also just a spot where it's like, what do you do if you're the Packers? And I think I'm going to go with Leonard Taylor III. Give him a buddy for Kenny Clark. The Packers defense has used so many first-round picks on defense, and I'm still going to give them another one. If you look at that offense is pretty solid. They have a lot of young weapons that developed with Jordan Love this year. They drafted a bunch of tight ends last year, a bunch of wide receivers last year. Could let them develop more and bolster that defense. That defense looked terrible sometimes. They couldn't stop Christian McCaffrey. They're not that good against the run at all. Really get that much pressure. You get a guy who on the interior offensive line like Leonard Taylor III out of Miami who can penetrate and actually get sacks and create pressure on the D line as in not as an edge rusher but in the middle is something that I think could really help benefit Green Bay. Yeah, he's going from Miami all the way up north, which is weird, so maybe you factor that in a little bit, how he likes the cold, but maybe he wants to play in cold weather. Who knows? Maybe he wants a little change of scenery. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at 26. I'm going to give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Chop Robinson. The Bucs love their defense. The Buccaneers are kind of founded on defense. Offensively, they still have Baker Mayfield. They have a decent offensive line. They have Rachaad White. They still have Chris Godwin, Russell Gage. I think they're probably going to bring back Mike Evans, but who knows? Maybe Mike Evans walks. I think you go defense, and the best defender here is Chop Robinson. I love him off the edge. The Buccaneers run a 3-4 defense. He can be an edge rusher that rushes the ball, just absolute freak of nature athletically. He can be someone that the Buccaneers develop because Shaquille Barrett's getting up there in age. I know that they just drafted Clyde Kanchi last year, but he's more on the inside. He didn't even really get that much pressure this year. Give him some more defensive edge help with Chop Robinson. Cardinals at 27. So they got Marvin Harrison Jr. with their first pick. And I think that the Cardinals would love to draft Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. Yes, you're keeping the hometown guy, but the Cardinals, they just drafted Paris Johnson Jr. to play on the right side last year. Give him a left tackle and Jordan Morgan. They still have DJ Humphries, but he's getting old. He's getting up there in age. You can maybe even put Jordan Morgan on the interior of the offensive line and then bounce him out once DJ Humphries' contract is done. But DJ Humphries is old and he's been okay for his entire career. You can maybe let Jordan Morgan sit for a year, get some practice or get some reps on the interior offensive line, and then you can move him to left tackle when DJ Humphries' contract is done. Buffalo at 28. You can do a lot of things here with this pick, and I personally think I'm going to go with Devontae Walker here, or Tez Walker. You need help. I don't know what it is with Stephon Diggs. I have no clue what it is with Stephon Diggs. He does not perform in the playoffs, man. He constantly is putting up massive numbers and then just fucking does nothing in the games that the Bills lose. This year against the Chiefs, what, at 30 yards? Dropped a pass that could have maybe won them the game. Last year against the Bengals, nothing. Against the Chiefs again last year, nothing. He just, for some reason, just doesn't show up sometimes. And for a big number one wide receiver that you're paying that much money, you'd need him to step up. And then in the games that he doesn't step up, who else is Josh Allen going to throw the ball to? Gabe Davis, I think he's a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. Who else do the Bills have? He loves his tight ends. Dalton Kincaid's a beast, but you need a wide receiver. And Tez Walker can be a wide receiver one when Stephon Diggs wants to just sit on his ass and complain. He will obviously be a number two, maybe replace Gabe Davis. He will sit alongside Stephon Diggs. They'll do great together, but in the games that Stephon Diggs decides to play like shit, Tez Walker can be a number one. Chiefs at 29, they're probably pissed off that I just did that. So for the Chiefs, I'm going to go with... they have their pick at wide receiver here. I don't know why Ladd McConkey's so highly rated. I watched him in Georgia this year. I think he's good, but I just don't think he's going to be a Chiefs guy. Keon Coleman is a great get up and get it ball kind of guy, but that's what I'm going to draft for the Chiefs. The Chiefs' biggest issue is drops, right? This is the guy that's not going to drop the ball. He's a get up and catch it guy. You might want someone with more speed for that Chiefs offense, but a reliable target for Mahomes that he knows isn't going to drop the ball, where you need a 15, 20-yard play in the middle of the field or on the sideline. Mahomes will get him the ball. He won't drop the ball. Detroit Lions at 30 here. Lions can do a lot. I think obviously their biggest issue is their defense. And so who are we going to give them on defense? Their edge rushers have been good. Are there any good defensive linemen here? I've actually seen Chris Jenkins jump him in draft boards, and he's a Michigan guy. He might have played with Hutchinson, I don't know. But we'll give him another Michigan player. They have Aiden Hutchinson on the edge, but their interior defensive line isn't that good. So give him another Michigan guy, because the last guy really worked out. Guy that can eat up blocks and can just really help alongside of Aiden Hutchinson. 49ers at 31. Their team is so good that they can do whatever they want. They can honestly do whatever. But I'm just going to go best player available, and I'm going to give him Amarius Mims. Who knows how much longer you're going to have who's the Trent Williams for? He's getting up there in age. I know they signed him to a big contract, but he's played hurt a couple of games. Amarius Mims can be a good guy that San Francisco can develop and play when they need him to. He will eventually be a starter in this league. Finally, very last pick, Baltimore Ravens here. They also can do anything that they want. It says here, wide receiver, but they have so many good guys. They have Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman is maybe, I guess. Odell Beckham Jr., he's getting up there in age. Who knows how much longer Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be there for the team. Ravens can really do anything that they want here with this pick. They have just options all around the board. Honestly, this will probably be a position where team trades into it to take a player. So there's just so many things that you can do here. And I think for the Ravens, That'd be pretty funny if I drafted him Bo Nix, right? I think I'm going to go corner, give him Kalen King. Might have been a bad pick, but Ravens offense looks so good. Their defense looks so good. And here's our mock draft. Here's my first one. I'll definitely do more mock drafts, maybe another one after Super Bowl, or maybe if you guys like this, I'll continue to do more. So thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below on what I can do to improve these types of videos. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you didn't, like I said, please leave a comment. Tell me what I can do to improve the video. Like, I know I could have gone differently in some of these picks here. This was just my first mock draft. Once it gets closer to the actual draft time and we learn free agents and whatnot, the board's definitely going to change up a bit. But thank you all so much for watching. Love y'all. Peace.